Well, we're here at DevOps Days Raleigh with Tanya. Just please introduce yourself to our audience and our community.
Of course, thank you. My name is Tanya Bragin. I'm VP of Product at ClickHouse, which is an open source database in the analytical space, often applied to observability problems. This is why I'm here at DevOps Days. Previously, I was at Elastic. I was responsible for logging and observability product line at Elastic. So I'm both a builder and a user of observability tools, and I love open source.
Right. So you have a talk here at DevOps Days Raleigh. Can you share a few key takeaways from your talk with our community?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the talk is on SQL-based observability, which may seem like an oxymoron. SQL is typically associated with business analytics, business intelligence, and observability. DevOps typically has more domain-specific tools and technologies that historically have been applied to it.
Okay.
So what I'm talking about is an increasing trend that I see and that we see of applying technologies, in particular open source technologies, from other domains to observability. In the end, it's a big data problem, and if a technology is truly disruptive in terms of performance or cost savings, it just makes sense. This is the power of open source. Sometimes you build a technology in an open source space, you think it's going to get used one way, and then innovators, technologists apply it to another problem, and it's just a really interesting trend that I see that I'm going to share later today in my talk.
All right, cool. Well, to build on that, is there something more general that's happening in DevOps, a trend, a debate that people should just be aware of?
In my opinion, yes. So as I mentioned, ClickHouse is where I'm currently. Before I was at Elastic, and so what I saw there was kind of this pendulum that keeps swinging between leaning toward building your own observability stack versus using solutions. At first, of course, this was Syslog with Unix. This was an open system. Then there was Splunk, more commercial system, and then with Elastic, the Elk stack really became kind of this open source alternative to Splunk. Datadog came along, and I was like, okay, should we be using SaaS solutions? So it feels like right now the pendulum is starting to swing the other way. More and more teams are exploring, again, going back to Elastic or looking at something like Grafana Loki, looking at ClickHouse. So the question in my mind is, like, where is it going to go? My hypothesis and my prediction is that it's going to keep going toward do-it-yourself, and one of the big reasons is actually GenAI. More and more organizations are thinking about data governance. They're thinking about the data not only as applicable to solving a specific problem for DevOps engineers, but as an asset for their business. So I believe open systems and systems where you have control of that data are going to be attractive from that perspective.
I agree. I think we'll see how that hypothesis comes true.
We'll see.
Hey, this is Todd with All Things Open. Thank you so much for watching. We truly appreciate it. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button. We've got a lot of new content coming we think you're going to be interested in. One final favor, be sure to go to allthingsopen.org, allthingsopen.org to see everything that we do. Back to the video.
And then lastly, just want to ask, do you have a piece of advice you'd like to share, something to save people time, best practice for our community?
Absolutely, yeah. So I often get asked, how do you get involved with an open source project? A lot of individuals want to do it, especially if you're on a job hunt, you're thinking about maybe expanding your skill set. Open source is a great way to both learn a technology, but also get involved with a community you may not be a part of yet. My advice is always just get started. And one of the best places actually to get started, maybe not intuitive, it's documentation. A lot of open source projects struggle to keep up with the pace of innovation in the open source because there's many contributions, there's many projects and experiments, and so documentation gets out of date, but it's super important for developer experience. So start using the product. If you notice something in the docs is missing, just submit a pull request. Super easy, great way to get started. You don't have to write code right away. That's just my advice. Get involved with open source and don't be intimidated by it.
Well, that's great advice for our community, because one of the biggest questions we get asked all the time is, well, how do I get started? So now that's a great path for someone to explore. And also, I'm just a big fan of documentation in general. Anyone who works with me knows that if it's not written, it doesn't exist. So
I agree. It's not going to get used.
Well, where can our community find you on the socials?
So I am on X. I still say I tweet. I guess I'm supposed to say I post, but it's just weird to say that. I do tweet, and I'm going to tweet later about this event. I find it important to share just what I'm experiencing. I also have a Medium blog where I write kind of more long-form content in areas of product management, pricing, more kind of about my craft. So yeah, please follow me, connect with me. I would love to get in touch.
Great. Well, thanks for your time today.
Thank you so much.
All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you.